Hey, good morning. Welcome. This is Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. This is Global Entrepreneurship Week. The theme is entrepreneurship for everyone, which falls naturally in step with our goal to provide entrepreneurs and small business owners like you with useful information about starting and growing your own business. We also seek out insights and best practices to then help sustain it. We try to have meaningful one-on-one conversations with business owners and community leaders who share their experiences and resources to inspire success for all. And with Small Business Saturday coming up at the end of the month, we hope you'll find all of it especially useful. Our categories should be familiar to you. They're the building blocks to success: getting started, accessing capital, current happenings in the week in business, timely accounting and bookkeeping advice, tips on running your business day to day, and a focus on a specific industry. And we wrap up the show with an inspirational business success story. We're here with a new show every Sunday morning on Wish TV and the live stream, wishtv.com. Each segment is posted then on our website, beoshow.com, and you can see all of our past content there. Watch them, share them, scan the QR code on your screen now to get to them right now. Here's what's ahead this hour on business equity and opportunities. Our Access to Capital turns the focus on entrepreneurship opportunities for veterans. Jane King reflects on how Indiana companies are doing following the election. We have highlights from last week's Indiana Small Business Expo. In keeping with our Celebrating Our Heroes initiative, we meet with the manager of trauma services at Eskenazi Health and with the creative owner of Crimson Tate, one of the Indiana businesses taking part in Small Business Saturday. As we get started today, we're introducing you to Jennica Anderson. She's an entrepreneur who knows the importance of customer service and leadership. She's teaching small businesses how to excel in both.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Getting started.
I'm Jennica Anderson. I am a customer experience professional and the founder of Hoosiers Training Institute, where we work with small businesses and young adults in preparing them for entry-level workforce positions and entry-level management by teaching them communication, soft skills, emotional intelligence, and leadership development. I was actually in operations management for 14 years before I started S.E.A Leaders, and with the rise of the number of small businesses, I knew that I had the skill set to help them develop their customer service and customer experience skills, so I sought out to go help. I think a lot of times we deal with people how we are taught to deal with people, and we don't necessarily know how to deal with different types of people, so we kind of introduce them to different ways of communicating and different communication styles. I don't think that a lot of small business owners have the knowledge about the strategy behind customer service more than it's just being nice. But as a business owner, you need to know why are you being nice and how does that impact your bottom line. So I do think it's something that's overlooked. It also is something that we need to measure in terms of customer satisfaction for retention's sake. So it's definitely something I think should be included in a business plan. It's overlooked. One of the biggest forms of customer service or ways customer service is done now is social media. Social media is a platform that's set up for businesses to be successful. That's why they have like the comment section, they can comment. They have direct messages so they can ask their questions on social media. And a lot of things get lost in translation with written communication, so people have to understand the different types of written communication, tone, style, design, what does all that mean, how's it interpreted. So there's different levels to our training. We do the customer service training where we really dig into soft skills and kind of help people develop those soft skills and kind of talk about just informed trauma, like what does that look like? Why do you respond the way you respond, and how to communicate with different types of people in different ways. But more so than that, we talk about the business owner perspective. So the strategy behind it. So what is customer service really? It's how you help a customer throughout their journey. How can you strategically do that? You need to know where your customers are first. And you need to know how to communicate with them. And then we take it further to educate on customer experience, which is also workshops that we do where we talk about, journey mapping. How do you design an intentional experience with your brand from start to finish? So not just making sure you have good marketing, because I think a lot of us stop at marketing, but also the follow-up, the survey, and getting feedback so you're making actionable changes and measuring those changes. So we also introduce them to like KPIs. What are KPIs? Those type of things. For me, it starts with survey. Getting the feedback, I think giving a controlled environment to get feedback from both consumers and internally, you can figure out where you need to start. how do consumers feel about their experience with your brand, and how do employees feel, because they're a big part of the experience ecosystem, and how can we blend it all together to make it beneficial for both? Because at the end of the day, they are the customer-facing people. So how do we make them happy while still making an experience that gets the goals that the business has in place? The biggest surprise is the changes people want to see, because a lot of times we make changes based on what we think is a good idea or what we think will generate revenue or what we think people want to see, and it's never what people want to see. They always want to see simple things. They want to see longer hours, something that we don't want to do, so we overlook it, versus new chairs in a building. They don't care about those things, but that's what we tend to invest in. So that's why I said we need to ask questions so we can make actionable changes in business. We do a lot of survey design as well, and every question we ask is intentional. It is actually impacted by a goal that the business has. It's not just a bunch of open-ended questions, because open-ended questions leave a lot of room for interpretation and just making random changes. But if you ask focused questions that can be measured, you can understand what changes should be made. And you can also measure those later to see if it's something that you should continue doing or continue to change, because customer experience is always changing. We actually have S.E.A Leaders Training Institute actually has been operating for just this year. S.E.A Leaders, our for-profit actually was in business. That's what's been in business since 2018. And we worked with so many different organizations. We worked with Edna Martin Christian Center. We worked with Barndale Brightwood, their entrepreneur program. We worked with Black Dollar Indie. We literally have worked with almost all of the organizations around to kind of bring our services to their programming. And we always get feedback on how our workshops have changed their business and changed the way they looked at things. And that's what it does. It introduces them to a different outlook on how to approach customer service, approach customer experience, which is kind of how we started with our awards, to kind of recognize those businesses that are excelling and taking those improvements in the community to provide a better experience in their business. Our awards is coming up on December 7th. We're actually having it here at the Founders Lodge, and it is an event to empower excellence in service, celebrate excellence in service, and just provide an excellent experience. Anybody can come. I encourage anybody that is considering being a small business owner, is a small business owner, to show up. We have a great panel of speakers to come just talk and encourage people to operate in excellence and just develop in leadership as well, and just operate the best they can as far as service goes. And we will honor those business owners who have been providing great service. We also will honor our Service Impact Award will go to the Youth Program Director of TeenWorks, which is why we are partnering with TeenWorks to kind of raise money for them through different activations at the event. To see people get excited about the nominations and really excited about the changes they are making in their business to provide better service and a better experience really is my why. So it always keeps me going, to just see that I'm making impact, I'm making people strive for better service in their business. So it really feels great.
The S.E.A Leaders Training Institute is hosting its annual awards honoring excellence in customer experience December 7th. It's also a fundraiser for TeenWorks. We have a link for more information on our website. If you have a business story you'd like us to share, tell us about it. We'd love to hear. Email us at beo@wishtv.com. Next this hour, new opportunities for veteran entrepreneurs are coming up. That's in Access to Capital.
It's the first, the biggest. It's the All Indiana Sports App. Live scores, exclusive highlights, more coverage, more action. It's all here. I've been doing sports for over 25 years, and nothing comes close to this. The player, the fan, everybody needs this. Totally customized. You're in control. Your sports, your way. When you want it, how you want it. Download the All Indiana Sports App today.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. The pathway to entrepreneurship for America's veterans is not always an easy one. Courtney Zaugg and Venture Vets are trying to do something about that.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Access to capital.
So I'm Courtney Zaugg. I am a spouse of a Marine Corps veteran, and I'm an economic developer by training, but we're also entrepreneurs. And we have organized Venture Vets, which is a community initiative supporting veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs here in Indiana. I think the key about Veterans Day and as it relates to entrepreneurship is that there's still a lot of active duty military that are transitioning out into the civilian world. And while there are more resources available for folks wanting to start their own businesses, there's still quite a long bridge that needs to happen to help them have an easier pathway into entrepreneurship. You know, my husband's been out for almost 20 years now, and so things have progressed, but it's still frankly not enough, right? It could be a lot easier for folks that are coming from just being deployed, getting out of the military, to what are my options if I want to start a business? What are my options if I want to buy a business? What are my options if I want to buy a franchise of a business? And so thinking about that in relation to folks that have served, I think it's important to remember that these folks have given a lot. Their families have given a lot. And so how better to pay service and pay honor to them than to support them in their journey after they're out, like entrepreneurship. The difficulties with folks that are transitioning from the military into civilian life and wanting to start a business right away are that there's no playbook. Right? So in the military, they have SOPs, they have playbooks, there's an order of events, there's a chain of command. And in entrepreneurship, you are building the plane as you're flying the plane as you build it. And I think that frame of reference sometimes is difficult, but that's why peer groups and getting connected to folks that have gone through the process, both with transitioning out but also in entrepreneurship, is critical, because then you can save years of pain, and you can save hours of phone calls trying to get to the right answer, when you should just come to a Venture Vets event or a meeting and meet with an entrepreneur and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, I don't know what I'm doing, how did you start? And we'll share it. Frankly, that's how Nathan and I, and it's why the work that we do is that's what happened with us. When we started, people just called and said, hey, we know you started this construction company, I have this idea, how did you do it? I think reach out to other veteran and military families that have recently transitioned out. I think peer groups are really important, both in generally transitioning back into civilian life, but it's particularly important when you're in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is hard, it's lonely, and so I think when you're compounding that with the challenges of transitioning into, frankly, a different life, it's important to get connected to a peer group. And so a lot of things that we do with Venture Vets is we hold monthly meetings for the broader military connected community. You can, we'd love for the entrepreneurs to come, but frankly, it's for the broader community if you're not an entrepreneur too, because we understand that community and the connectedness is critical for transitioning successfully back into the civilian world. So Global Entrepreneurship Week is in November, and that's where we're celebrating all entrepreneurs, but especially in relation to Veterans Day, we'll pay special honor to folks that have served and then are also building businesses, contributing to the common economy, creating jobs that impact our everyday life here in Indiana.
A business calling based on calling the games. Up next, we check with RefReps and find out how the sports-based business has grown.
This holiday season, make a difference with Wishtree. Over the years, in partnership with Toys for Tots, Wishtree has collected hundreds of thousands of toys to help make sure all children have a gift to open during the holiday season. Together, we can make this the best year yet.
We're collecting new, unwrapped toys that reflect the diversity of our community.
Especially toys for babies and teenagers who often get left out.
Look for the iconic Wishtree boxes from November 13th to December 13th. Made possible by the National Bank of Indianapolis, Gemco, Planet Fitness, and Wish TV. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This week, basketball leagues and high school programs are back on the courts with very different outlooks now that more referees are available. Last year, we introduced you to a local tech company that came up with an innovative solution to the shortage of certified referees. This morning, we check back in to see what a difference a year has made.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
I'm Kyle Armstrong. I'm the founder of a local company here, education technology company called RefReps. And we work primarily with schools, high schools, colleges, but really anyone in the officiating industry as well for training and education of new sports officials. So I've been in the officiating education technology industry for longer than I like to admit now, a dozen years or so. And we've seen, for 5 decades straight, the average age of a high school sports official continues to rise. Fewer and fewer people express an interest in getting involved in officiating, and it's led to huge shortages of sports officials nationally. And so we had kind of been watching those trends. We knew what was happening. We knew we had to infuse youth into the industry, and we thought, man, if we could do this in a way that was engaging to students at the high school and collegiate level, we might really be able to make a difference. And so far, that has happened. Yeah, so Indiana is one of our strongest states by far, which has been phenomenal. Working with the IHSAA has been incredible. But we're in 43 states now. We have over 1,000 high schools and colleges that are teaching with us. When we started, we did a pilot program in January of 2022, 7 Indiana high schools, 79 students. That's what we started with. And now we're in 43 states, over 1,000 high schools and colleges, and we've helped over 30,000 new officials get started in 2 years. That's what's so incredible, and what people don't realize is, for one, they're humans behind the stripes or the blue jerseys that they wear. But the need is so tremendous. Sports are so foundational, I think, to our culture, and then especially at the youth levels, how fast that is growing. In some states, they are not seeing the shortage of officials just because people are quitting. A lot of people think that, well, you're short on officials because everyone's quitting. In some cases, sports are growing so fast, it's still declining. The number of people getting started is declining, but now you're kind of exponential divide there because you have such a greater need, and the fewer people getting started just makes it grow even faster. So it's at all levels. They're even starting to feel this some at lower levels of collegiate sports where they're struggling to get officials. It's not just basketball and football. There's field hockey and lacrosse and all of those sports that a lot of times people don't have top of mind, but they need them too. That's what's been the neatest thing of our work, especially at the high school level. So we have a curriculum, we have coursework and technology that we take into schools and empower those schools to teach students the skills needed to be sports officials. But they learn life skills, conflict resolution, time management, all of those kind of things, but they also learn employability skills. So they may take a course with us, and one unit of that course may be 6 weeks on basketball officiating. Well, at the end of those 6 weeks, they can go get their officiating license. They can immediately start making money right away. They don't have to go to 2 years of technical school. They don't have to go to college. Right away, they start making money. We actually had a student 2 years ago in Ohio. He graduated school. He was a senior, graduated school in May, got his officiating license in June, worked travel baseball games, umpiring travel baseball games, June to middle of August, made $19,000 in a summer. Paid for his first year of college out of pocket. I mean, it's incredible what you can do with this. Yeah, so from our side, our mission is to help the world see the game through the eyes of the officials. And part of that is philosophical. We want to help people learn more about officials. We want to help them empathize with officials. We also want to show them how hard it is to be a referee. So part of the technology we utilize, we actually use point of view video. And we will literally show you the game through the eyes of the officials. We've done some really neat activations through Sports Tech HQ with the Indianapolis Indians. We're doing something at Lucas Oil Stadium in a few weeks with the IHSAA, things with the Circle City Classic, just all kind of things going on. But we use that point of view video, and we have activations where people can come up to a kiosk. It's like a giant iPad. They see a play happen from the perspective of the referee on the court, on the field, on the mat, and then they get challenged to make a call. Was it a block? Was it a charge? Was it a pass interference? Was it a dead ball? And they have to answer. And then we tell them whether they're right or wrong. And it's fascinating how quickly they realize, I don't know what I'm doing. And this is a lot harder than I thought. And that technology never existed. And now we're bringing that to the mainstream where everybody every day can see, wow, this is tough. And maybe tone it down a little bit. I'll tell you a neat story. We have almost a quarter of the schools in Indiana are teaching intro to sports officiating classes with us. And it's anecdotal, there's no scientific data, but when we get to state championships, and we'll see teams, a team that teaches this class, the school teaches it, and a school that doesn't. There's a drastic difference in the behavior of fans, parents, players, from the teams that teach with us and the ones that don't, because I really do believe they're cognizant of this. They're aware of how difficult it is and how important this job is. We get asked that a lot. What about doing this in coaching? We're short on teachers. What about doing it in teaching? And I think just foundationally to me in business, we're really good at what we do and we stick with that now. I never say never, but we're really focused on officials and want to help that industry and leave it better than we found it. I don't take myself too seriously. I think we've done some really special things, but it's this team that we've built. They're incredible, absolutely incredible. They started with us, most of them, when we were just a scrappy startup trying to figure it out. And now we've grown it into a real business and they're still there. And I just give them all the credit in the world for the amazing job they've done. So Sports Tech HQ has been incredible for us. And I think that you can't be in a better place for sports innovation than Indianapolis. We've done incredible things with the IHSAA, the NCAA, the NFHS, who are all here. And I just think that the technology and some of these other founders that I'm interacting with and getting to learn from and networking with, there's incredible things happening. And when you think about technology and you think about innovation, you think about Silicon Valley and all of those things. What's happening here related to sports is off the charts, and you just got to hold your hat because there are things coming you can't even dream of, and it is so neat.
When we come back, good news from several Indiana companies trading on the NASDAQ. We'll hear from Jane King on that. Plus some holiday competition for the traditional turkey. That and much more coming up next on Business Equity and Opportunities.
This Week in Business is made possible by InnoPower. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome again. This is the segment each hour when we turn our attention to the financial aspects of your business. Today we check in on Jane King. She has big news on how Indiana companies are doing on the NASDAQ.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Accounting and bookkeeping.
It's been a big year for Eli Lilly and Company. The stock is way up on its weight loss drug Zepbound, but its most recent earnings report did not meet expectations, and Lilly shares stumbled. Though its total revenue in the U.S. in the third quarter was $7.8 billion, which was up 46% from a year ago, $1.2 billion of that was derived from sales of Zepbound, and the market's expectations were even higher. Well, Goldman Sachs is bringing its 10,000 Small Business Initiative to Central Indiana. The goal is to bring small businesses together so they can share and learn from each other. The director of the program says for businesses of every size, this program is designed for them who want to grow and scale. Now, we'll help business owners with everything from marketing, location growth, adding revenue sources, and more. And the program will also give business advice with help from community partners and funding sources. The first Indianapolis cohort is accepting applications from local business owners until December. Meanwhile, the U.S. will have a new administration in Washington in January. Wall Street rallied on the news. Fewer regulations are a main reason for the optimism. Also, there's a lot of encouragement of more government spending discipline, and CEO of Tesla and Trump supporter Elon Musk has pledged to cut spending, which could keep interest rates lower and restore faith that the U.S. government can pay its debts. Also, certain industries should benefit from a Trump administration. Fossil fuels and crypto are two that Trump has pledged to support. However, Chinese stocks slumped on the election results, and other stocks like solar companies were hit hard as Trump is not expected to offer generous incentives to renewable energy. Well, in fact, President-elect Trump has made promises to terminate rules to stifle power plant pollution. In the event of a policy shift, Duke Energy says it will re-examine plans to convert coal plants in Indiana to also run on natural gas. In an interview with Bloomberg, Chief Financial Officer Brian Savoy says the pace of energy transition could be changing. Well, rents are down slightly year over year, about 0.7%. Apartment List says the median monthly rent nationally fell by $10 to $1,400, and we're likely to see that number continue to dip modestly through the remainder of the year. Notably, rents are still 19% higher than the same time in 2019. And the Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 0.25% over the past week. The cuts show up first in credit cards and car loans, those short-term loans. The Federal Reserve feels that inflation is getting under control since it peaked at 9% in 2022. Corteva Agriscience continues to struggle. The seed treatment company cut its full-year net sales and profit forecast. Corteva says fewer corn acres were planted in Argentina, and dry weather plagued farmers. The dry weather also caused some growers to switch from corn to planting soybeans. Purdue Global Chancellor Frank Dooley announced he will step down at the end of the year from the role he's held since 2020. The university will soon name an acting chancellor to serve until a permanent successor is identified. Since being named chancellor, Dooley is focused on supporting student success and aligning Purdue Global more closely with the university system. Under his leadership, student retention rates reached record highs and enrollment grew over 20%. Various administrative services returned to West Lafayette, and the university is operating from a strong financial position. Meanwhile, economists at Indiana University expect the economy in the state to surge big time in the coming year. The group of experts at the IU Kelley School of Business say with Indiana being a heavy state for manufacturing, significant expected growth in that sector is expected. Now, they particularly cite lower interest rates as spurring growth in factories, and that paired with Indiana's lower cost of living as compared to the rest of the U.S. puts the state in a good spot for consumers to spend more money as interest rates are expected to keep falling with inflation being reined in even more. Are malls making a comeback? Simon Property Group says they are. In a recent earnings call, Simon executives said the mall continues to be a unique gathering place, and they're seeing a rejuvenation of younger consumers wanting to hang out at the mall. Simon is the largest U.S. mall operator and is investing heavily in both physical spaces and the digital presence to adapt to changing consumer behaviors. Well, Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and fewer Americans may be cooking a whole turkey this year. According to CoBank, inventory of whole turkeys in cold storage was up 4% compared to last year. CoBank says there's more competition from beef and pork this year. And speaking of the holidays, Black Friday sales have already started. Target, Amazon, Walmart, and Best Buy among retailers that have already started their deals. The National Retail Federation forecasts that retail sales during the November-December holiday season will increase between 2.5% and 3.5% this year. From the NASDAQ market site, I'm Jane King.
Up next, highlights from this year's Indiana Small Business Expo. It's coming up on Business Equity and Opportunities. Stay with us.
Wish TV is your home for the holidays, and this holiday season we're inviting you to celebrate with our Home for the Holidays sweepstakes. From November 6th until December 12th, you can enter for your chance to win all kinds of fabulous prizes. You may win a $300 local shopping spree or get your rent or mortgage paid in 2025. Just head over to wishtv.com/contest or scan that QR code and let the holiday season begin.
Brought to you by Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, Carmel City Center, and Wish TV. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome again. Thanks for spending the hour with us. Last week, small business owners gathered at the State Fairgrounds for the Indiana Small Business Expo Trade Show Conference. We caught up with Kelly Sparks to see how this year's event has grown.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Running your business day to day.
It has been so busy, consistent crowd. We opened at 1 o'clock and it's going strong until 7. It has been amazing. We've had speaker sessions, keynote speakers. There isn't a space in the building. It just continues to grow, and every business you can think of is here and making connections. That's what it's all about. Sure, we've had a CPA speaker, we've had marketing, we've had personal stories that tell the journey of entrepreneurship. We got to have a leap of faith to make that switch from the 9 to 5. So you're going to hear a lot of stories of how they did that, and it's going to inspire you. Gosh, I don't know. This is our 5th expo, and we've grown into the Indiana State Fairgrounds. I would think it would continue to grow. Everyone wants to be involved, and it's just been fabulous.
Yeah, my name is Mike Talbot with Guardian Angel Restoration. We specialize in water, fire, mold, and construction services. We're here to support local businesses here down at the Small Business Expo. As you can see, there's a large exhibit here of probably about 100 different small business, entrepreneurs that are just trying to, get within the community and make a name for themselves. It's a huge piece, is to get into the community, build relationships. We're tired of transactions. We don't want the, what's it in it for me? What's the referral fee or something like that? We want a relationship where we can know one another and we can align our values and then come together and support the local community.
I'm Drew Malee. I'm the owner of the Designery, South Indianapolis. The Designery, we do kitchen, bath, closet, and we do everything front to back. So we design any space that you have. We do built-ins in a family room to outdoor kitchens, kitchen, bath, closet. We sell the cabinets, countertops, flooring, tile. Pretty much anything inside the walls we can do. Well, it is a networking group. I mean, that's the name of the game, right? As business owners, we're always looking for customers. It's a mindset. So when you're around a lot of people like that, you always make connections. There's tons of people here that do home services in different arenas than what I do, and we can help each other out. So that's really the name of the game, is making those connections and trying to help each other out, helping all the businesses out.
If you'd like more information about any of our Running Your Business day-to-day segments or anything this hour, follow the QR code to our website. Coming up, we meet the manager of the trauma unit at S.E.A. Health. You're watching Business Equity and Opportunities.
Wish TV is focused on family and the community.
That's why we're once again partnering with the Moselle Sanders Foundation.
For more than 50 years, they have provided tens of thousands of Hoosier families with holiday meals.
And with your help, a donation of just $20 can feed a family of 4 this Thanksgiving, supporting those who need it most.
Text Moselle to 53555 or scan the QR code on your screen now. Brought to you by Financial Center, Ed Martin Automotive, and MI Homes.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Today's industry focus is at trauma care. A look at the people who deal with serious injuries that are often life-threatening.
Hi, I'm Sherry Marley. I am the Trauma Program Manager here at S.E.A. Health. So I started at S.E.A. in 1996 when it was Wishard, And I started in the emergency department as a student nurse extern. So we have a really robust student program that we bring in nursing students in their senior year of nursing school, and just fell in love with the emergency department and never left. Well, when I started in the emergency room, I remember my first day, and my preceptor, who is still a really good friend of mine. So the nurse I was assigned to that day, she was just my mentor, and you have these mentors that sort of guide you, and that's what helps you get through the tough times. But it just immediately felt like home. And I knew this is where I was supposed to be, which is really rare for somebody in healthcare, right? Because there's a lot of options, a lot of things you can do in healthcare. But you know, when it comes to taking care of trauma patients, you get to see a change. So you get to see somebody who's sick and injured to getting better and healing and walking out of here. Well, I think, you know, it started with a vision, and I think Dr. Harris's vision for Eskenazi a long time ago was, you know, we're going to take care of anybody and everybody, no matter who you are. And that's just not a motto for us. It's really built into the DNA of who we are. And when you work with people who have that same like-mindedness to help somebody regardless of their situation, without judgment, without hesitation, you know, our CFO would obviously wants payment, but without, you know, we worry about that last. We take care of the human aspect of it first, and that's in our DNA. So when you work with coworkers that all have that same mindset, it makes it easy. In the trauma center, you know, we take care of the patient as they arrive, but with trauma care, the evolution of trauma care, it's really about prevention, and whether that's primary prevention or preventing re-injury. So 15 years ago, Eskenazi, Dr. Harris's leadership, developed an injury outreach prevention program based on some outreach prevention programs that were working in San Francisco at the time. So we took that program, modeled it here, and have grown. And we started with 2 employees, we have 14. So I think that evolution, everything is really evidence-based. It's gone to a lot of evidence-based medicine. What is the standard of care? We work with the American College of Surgeons, and they have a trauma quality improvement program that benchmarks us against other trauma centers like us in the nation. So we know where we stand, where we need to improve, and what we're doing well. And we look at that every few months. You know, we get a report on that, so you get benchmarked almost in real time. I think it lifts you up as a team, right? And it really gives you the energy to push forward, because you do see some pretty horrific things, maybe not every day, but pretty often. And you know, when you have people who are working alongside you that are doing the same thing and seeing the same thing, and we're all relishing in our successes, and supporting us when we don't have quite the success or the outcome we want, I think that is really, it uplifts the whole team. And you know, and it's not just the trauma service, but in the emergency department, the nurses in the operating room and recovery room, the ICU nurses, the step down, our rehab team even, you know, because they're the ones that help see that kind of take the patient across the finish line to get them to the next level of care. So it's just wonderful to see everybody come together, and we can all celebrate those successes.
The trauma team at Eskenazi and the work that they do on the most urgent cases across our state are part of our Celebrating Heroes special coming up next Thursday, November 21st, 6:30 on Wish TV. We hope to see you there. If you'd like more information about this or any of our industry-focused segments, visit BEOshow.com. When we return this hour, a visit to a woman-owned business on Mass Ave that has found success one swatch at a time.
Throughout the month of November, Wish TV has been proud to recognize heroes all throughout Indiana. And this Thursday, we invite you to join us for our Celebrating Heroes special, as we recognize everyone from veterans to police officers to frontline health workers. These are the people that heroically affect our lives every day. Come join us and let's celebrate heroes together.
The Celebrating Heroes special, Thursday at 6:30, brought to you by Eskenazi Health.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Later this month, November 30th, will be Small Business Saturday, a chance during that busy shopping time to support small business on a big scale. Crimson Tate Modern Quilter is participating. It's a 13-year fixture on Mass Ave. The owner, Heather Givens, has reached worldwide acclaim and our success story with her innovative new fabric design.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
I'm Heather Givens. I'm the owner of Crimson Tate Modern Quilter, the fabric store on Mass Ave here in downtown Indianapolis. Well, we just celebrated our 13th birthday, so Crimson Tate now has braces and roller skates. No, she's 13. We're, in this amazing part of downtown that has really seen a lot of growth and rehabilitation, and so we're just in the upper end across the street from Bottle Works Hotel, which is really a vibrant and beautiful location with a cultural trail, and certainly tons of locally owned businesses. Yeah, like fabric lovers, we are your go-to. So here at Crimson Tate, we specialize in contemporary modern textiles and fabrics. So we have mostly quilting weight cottons, but certainly cotton linens. And so if you're wanting to learn, or you're a seasoned veteran at sewing quilts and garments or craft projects, we are a destination for sure. Well, I have a degree from Purdue University, and I have in kindergarten through high school teaching art. It's been a hot minute since I've done that. But while I was teaching and I taught on the West Side, my mom revealed to me that she wanted to learn to quilt, and I thought, oh, I don't want to do that. Like I'm an illustrator, I'm all these other things, and I thought I can't take on one more project. But I'm also a dutiful daughter, and so I took her to a quilting camp for adults where you could learn to quilt. And I just kind of went wild with it. And in my first year of learning, I asked my mentor, as I call her, from camp, like, how many quilts do you make in a year? And she's like, depending on, what's going on. If there's a wedding, if there's a baby, a memoriam, maybe 4 or 5 quilts in a year. And in that first year, I was so dedicated to it, I made like 25 quilts. And now, does that mean they're all good? No, certainly not. But there was something about the process that really works with my creative process. And so then it just took off. I really was interested in recycling materials. So I would make these quilts and then would have all this leftover scrap that I was like, how do I manage all of this? And that's when I started maybe a cottage industry sewing business. And I made something called the Harriet headband, and it went wild in a way. So I was teaching full-time and manufacturing headbands full-time, and then all of that sort of birthed into the opening of the store. I'm totally humbled and honored, like the opportunities for sure that have been given to me. I do design fabric for a fabric manufacturer, and so my drawings and designs are reproduced on quilting weight cottons and then distributed or around the world. We discuss all the time like how the quilt object is innately something treasured and loved, and sometimes what's made for you as a gift doesn't necessarily match your decor, whereas what we've always focused on is designed fabric, or fabric that might fit a more contemporary look. Yeah, so each collection really is quite personal to me. And so like I said, as a former art teacher, this collection called Pen Pals really sort of leans into my love of writing and papers, and certainly drawing materials and pens. And then of course, like with the pal part of it, that notion or idea of friendship, and that's really what this store is all about. That's really what local business is all about, is creating community and friendship, like right here in this destination. Yeah, it's like a big homecoming. It's like a big old hug, like from our community to us, for us to our community. And so on that day, all along Mass Ave, there will be tons of shoppers, and the stores participating open at 9 a.m., oftentimes with maybe some deals, but really on that day, it really is an outpouring of, so what we found here at Crimson Tate is an outpouring of love, and like, hey, we support you. We want to shop small and try to keep our dollar bills as local as possible. So what we do here at Crimson Tate, we have, through sheer hard work and creativity, like that's probably one of my proudest parts of being like a part of Crimson Tate, is creating jobs. And then also, certainly we have an amazing crew of super talented staff that are very knowledgeable and like have the know-how to help, but also like we certainly support local non-for-profits, and we have tons of people who call upon us. Like just recently, I think high school is making blankets for Riley, and they need a little support with the fabric, and so we're in a position where we're able to help them not only through the donation of goods, but also through our know-how, because that too, it's a great idea, but somebody needs to be an expert in the field, and that's really what we do here. Well, I'm happy to report that I just finished the 7th and 8th collection of fabric, like designing, and I've got 2 more in the queue. And then of course, there's also more quilt patterns that are to be written and that I'm working on, and the launch of a new one that will come out on Small Business Saturday, which I'm very excited to announce. And then, yeah, so we'll just keep doing a little bit more of that, keep opening our doors for classes and opportunities to learn. As an adult, sometimes it's rare to have an opportunity to express yourself creatively and to be in a space that can be like stress relieving, and sewing really, if you can get your machine to work properly, really is a stress-free hobby. Like it's a really way to like let out some tension. I think yes, creating jobs is pretty big. Like I never thought that like through just my creativity that could happen. And I have a degree in art, and like a lot of times, there's a lot of pushback on, well, what are you going to do with that? Or how are you going to be able to leverage that in such a way? And I would say that I've leveraged it in such a way that like at 13 years, like we've been able to make something pretty cool that people depend on. And I love that too. I will also say that just like individual conversations that I have with customers about how whatever they've made or whatever conversation that just naturally happened in the store impacted them in such a way and influenced them. I'm pretty proud of that, like just being a part of the community.
As we wrap up today's Business Equity and Opportunities, we remind you to support the entrepreneurs and owners who make up the fabric of small business here in Indiana. Mark your calendars for Small Business Saturday, November 30th, to take the time to shop small and help support small businesses across our community. If you'd like to make an even bigger contribution, support the veteran entrepreneurs in your neighborhood. Our thanks to all of our contributors. You'll find a link to them on our website, beoshow.com. Scan the QR code one more time to get you right there. If you have questions or suggestions about what you'd like to see, send us an email at beo@wishtv.com. Thank you for spending the hour with us. Join us next week for more Business, Equity, and Opportunity. Till then, I'm Scott Sanders. Have a great day.
Business, Equity, and Opportunities made possible by InnoPower, Bose McKinney & Evans, Gemco, Fifth Third Bank, Indiana Black Expo, Long John Silver's, and Circulus Digital Media.